Good morning, Patriots. Welcome back to this American Sunrise. We are live in West Palm Beach, and boy,
beautiful.
Digging in on that story about Blippi, this kids show yesterday was something else. Why don't you set the table and bring in our next guest, because you did a little digging on that.
I did. You know, so we played this clip yesterday of Blippi, and Blippi was basically equating the police and saying, you know, P starts for pig also, with a police car in front of him. And this is a children's show that's available on YouTube. It's the producers of Coco Melon from Nickelodeon. There's a whole twisted thing. It's now been purchased by Disney for a $1 billion deal.
$1 billion?
A $1 billion deal. I mean, the things that I read yesterday were incredible.
So let's play the clip
what I
first.
was
So
looking
if you
at.
missed it yesterday, here's what set this conversation off. A mom watching what her child was watching and being shocked. Watch.
This was on my kid's TV show, and now he can't stop saying.
Police! P. P. Can you think of an animal that starts with the letter P? P. P. Yeah! Pig! Pig!
Now, after we played that, some people were claiming to us on
that
social
this was
media
altered. It's not.
That it was altered. We
No.
checked. It was not altered, number one. Number two, other people were claiming this host actually loves the cops and is pro-police. That's what people claim.
That does not seem to be accurate based on what I've looked at. Plus, this studio with Coco Melon was acquired for $3 billion by two former Disney executives, just to give you an idea.
Right.
It is absolutely crazy, the things that you would read about this host, too. And I don't know what's true, and I don't want to get into people's personal lives, but it was a rabbit hole that I was very sorry that I went down, but enlightened because of it.
All right, let's bring in our guest, David Morrow, to talk a little bit more about this. He's been poking around on what these shows really do, and and what some of these children's toys teach people as well. David, welcome, first of all. And you have the Jesus doll, right? Which we've talked about.
The talking Jesus doll that I
The talking
love.
Jesus doll. Let's see it. There
the
it
best.
is. That's a little different than Blippi, I would assume. So why don't you walk us through? What's your reaction to the clip we played?
Yeah, guys. Hey, how you doing? There may be more or less to the story. So let me walk you through kind of the backstory. So Blippi is like a modern day Pee Wee Herman. He dresses up. He has orange glasses, an orange hat, and he was started in 2014. It was a YouTube show. And the premise of the show is this guy goes on field trips to like the farm, the zoo, the fire station, and he teaches kids about, you know, things and occupations. Kids loved it. He got billions of views. Parents loved it. And so for a long time, it was a solid educational show. So I think a lot of the reaction that we saw yesterday in the recent days was surprise, because Blippi's been a pretty, you know, down the line character, you know, educational show for a long time. He's got a long track record of non-indoctrination. You know, he's never had shows about wearing masks and getting vaccines. There's even a show where, you know, he goes into the police station, they solve a crime, and he's honored to be a deputy. So it's really out of the norm. And I think that's what people got, you know, kind of riled up about, is because this has not happened before. But here's what's interesting, and Karen alluded to it. In 2020, Blippi was acquired by this company called Moonbutt. And less than a year later, they pushed the original guy out, the original character, and they brought in a new character. And late last year, this Moonbutt company sold to a company called Candle Media, which is a wholly owned subsidiary of Blackstone Investment Group. And to Karen's point, the guy running Candle is the former Disney Plus CEO and former TikTok CEO. So now they've got, this show that we've been watching all these years has new capital, new connections, new distribution deals with Amazon and Netflix, and Tencent, which is China. And so those are now their biggest customers and potentially the biggest sources of influence. So all that said, you know, maybe we wait to throw, you know, boycott Blippi, right, and throw them out. But I think the lesson is parents need to really pay attention to what their kids are watching, because as we know, things change really fast. And remember, it wasn't that long ago that Disney was American as apple pie. So you have to always be reevaluating what your kids are watching.
Yeah, and you know, when my kids were younger, my kids are older, they're in their 20s, but I remember watching, you know, kids shows with them and catching all the adult innuendos that are in these shows that you don't necessarily realize as a child, but as an adult watching it, you're like, oh, I know what that means.
Right.
And a lot of that was present even 20 years ago, but now it's just become blatant, where there doesn't seem to be any filter, they'll put anything out there. Plus, kids have access to all of this stuff via the internet, which is so interesting for raising younger children that they just have access to whatever they want on YouTube.
Well, I got a couple things. So let's we'll play the whole clip in a second, but we also have this from Getter where a MAGA Mom 217 wrote us and said, guys, that clip you played from TikTok is altered. We refer to this. Blippi is not a failed Mr. Rogers or a wannabe Pee Wee Herman. I promise, we've watched it for 11 years. That clip is fake as hell. Again, we're going to play it in a second. Blippi is also pro-police, pro-military, and he's a vet. Karen, please retract that. It's wrong. He's also married, has a child, very successful. Please fix your information.
Well, I'm reading another article about him right here, and I'm not saying that this is true, but, you know, there were a lot of controversy around him in 2019. He made this video where in the Blippi show, he poops on his friend, which, granted, he's playing a child. It makes sense. But he then on his own account, where he calls himself Steezy Grossman, he referred to himself as things with comedy. He made comedy videos calling himself Turd Boy and Underwear Man.
Yeah. Okay.
So there's some things that are odd, you know, and I'm just saying, you know what you're dealing with. Do your research, find out, and make your own decision.
It might not be as perfect as
might
people
not
think,
be,
number one.
And maybe you're okay with all that. That's cool.
And number two, the clip was not altered, promise. Here's the full clip, and then we'll talk about it. Watch.
I have an idea. Let's name an animal that starts with the first letter of every single letter in the word of police. Okay? P. P. Can you think of an animal that starts with the letter P? P. P. Yeah! Pig! Pig! Good job!
So there's the full context.
Well, and here's the thing. Here's this guy who's playing his character, right? You want to say he's a vet, he loves his country. You know what? When they told him to do that on script, why didn't he stand up and say, I refuse to do that. I'm not going to call the police a pig.
Yeah, David, I want you to react, and I want to add one more fact. Other viewers pointed out to us that when they went to YouTube to track this down, it said that it had been uploaded 6 years ago, not recently, that this was just a controversy that this mom kicked up recently. My point being, if it was in fact done 6 years ago, to me it's worse because it was even before the defund the police movement. It's not like
and before the Disney executives jumped in with the show.
So this guy was actually pushing this anti-cop agenda before the defund the police movement. Your reaction?
Yeah, I wonder what letter I was. I didn't see what letter I was. That insurrection. I mean,
right.
Look, the thing that I think, again, my takeaway from this and all these things, I mean, this is happening all the time. Karen's point is right. Like every network that shows kids shows has been co-opted. Like you can't be nothing today can be trusted. You have to go back almost in time and go get DVDs of old shows you used to watch. But the thing that parents, I think, need to realize is that these things are always going to seep into your TV. Like your kids are going to be exposed to this kind of stuff, whether you want them to or not, or how hard you try to do it. It's going to happen. And so the lesson, to me, is we got to teach your kids about God's design, His purpose, what things really are early, so that when these kind of things happen, they're prepared. They know truth. They know right from wrong. And they can better handle, the onslaught of things that come at them. So early awareness, indoctrination of things that you care about are important to prevent the other side from getting a foothold in your kids. And that's what they're trying to do. It's clear, it's obvious, it's sick, it's disgusting, but that's the job of parents, is to remove from situations, but also prepare for this kind of thing.
It makes you want to put your kids in like a bubble and protect them, but not everybody has the luxury to do that. We got to go out, we got to work, we have other things we have to handle, but you can't believe that this is happening.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. People in our live chat on Getter, I was speaking in there, saying they should have done P is for Pelosi. That might have staved off some controversy, but who knows? It might have created other controversies, David, by injecting the outgoing speaker. Yeah,
I mean, we don't know. Like who knows what's going on with this stuff? But again, the key is to be vigilant. Pay attention to what your kids are watching, and again, always be reevaluating. This stuff is changing all the time. It wasn't that long ago that My Little Pony, didn't have a gay aunt. It wasn't that long ago that Rugrats didn't have an openly gay mom. Like this is within the last couple of years. So the things that you thought were safe, a year or two ago, even, you have to be very vigilant.
Wasn't there something? Wasn't there something with Paw Patrol as well, where that people were upset?
They wanted to cancel the police
because
dog.
they said they're making the police dog cartoon makes the police look good, and we hate the police. These critics were saying, not me. So they wanted to cancel Paw Patrol, which was one of the craziest things.
That was one of the craziest things. But there's been so many of these that we've seen.
Yeah. Where can people find the Talking Jesus doll?
Yeah, so if you can go to JesusDoll.com, JesusDoll.com, you can check out the Talking Jesus doll, and yeah, I'd love to check it out. And again, yeah, teach your kids early. That's what it boils down to. Teach them the truth early, and that'll be a hedge of protection that will last them a lifetime.
No doubt about it.
I love this doll, and I press it, and it says the Our Father. So sometimes I got to press it like 4 or 5 times to have it do it, but it's amazing. It's got all these amazing Bible verses on it.
Absolutely. We love it. Thanks for teaching kids some of the positive things, some of the uplifting things, some of the righteous things. Certainly something we need right now. David, appreciate your time.
Thanks, guys.
What a segment. I see people in the live chat, too. Some people agreeing with it. Some people really angry, saying you're wrong about this. This is a great show.
All right.
And they love, they're
well, they can read about Stephen.
Blippi.
They can decide if they like Blippi, and if they want their kids to watch Blippi.
I'm
not going to watch
now. I had no idea.
I mean, it's interesting. I mean, he has a right to be an adult and a kid's entertainer at the same time.
Oh, okay.
You know.
All right, coming up, we're going to have some getters, some Truth Social, and a sunny side up about how might be the coolest way to run a marathon.
Might be.
I've never seen this before. You're not.
It's not for me.
You're not going to believe it. This guy ran a marathon. I'm not going to give it away. You're not going to believe it when we come back.